And so we're going over the basics of the science of mind. I've done part one, part two. Today is part three. But I always start with, today it's about in the beginning, God. In the beginning, Spirit. In the beginning, infinite mind. In the beginning, love. In the beginning, peace. Call God whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It is it. And so this is where we started the very first day with this slide. The study of science of mind is the study of first cause, spirit, mind, or that invisible essence, that ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of creation, the thing itself. Isn't that a great description of this idea of what could God be? It's everything. It's all of that. So we're going to go back and go, what is the beginning? What is the first words in the Bible? It says, in the beginning, God. Well, okay. Where do I go from there? So let's explore that. If it is in the beginning God, only spirit and infinite intelligence. So they're saying that the only thing that ever was in the beginning was this infinite spirit, this infinite intelligence that must have been everywhere present, always present, because it was everything. There was nothing beyond it. But it was not a human expression. Does that make sense? It wasn't an anthropomorphic God, a God that we gave human qualities to. It was something much more than that. It was the seen, the unseen, the known, the unknown, that which was, is, and always will be. It's that which creates everything out of itself, and we're going to really get into that. If spirit is infinite and is the cause of all, then it has substance within itself. Are you seeing what we're doing here? We're saying spirit, law, body. Spirit, law, form. Seed, soil, plant. Did you just hear that? Seed, soil, plant. That's the key to creation. The seed is what? The mental atmosphere that we create. There's an invisible law that is always working. That law takes the seed into the soil. The soil does not judge it. It nurtures it. It takes it, and it then creates the plant. So if you plant a carrot seed, you get a carrot. If you plant a carrot seed, you do not get an apple. You hearing that? If you plant, I hate someone, you're not going to give love. If you plant comparison, you're not going to get joy. You see, the law works really precise. That's one of the things you have to understand. This law is precise in how it works. It mirrors back to you all the time exactly the sum total of all your thoughts and what you're thinking. I capitalize this because Ernest capitalized it when he wrote this in The Science of Mind. Spirit makes things out of itself through some inner act upon itself. So spirit, infinite intelligence, creates through a power within it, out of what's in it, everything. Now think about this. Spirit is infinite, meaning if it is infinite, it created you and I out of it. So we have spirit, law, and form in our lives. The way we use the law, and it's the same law, is through the process of our thinking. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm. So when we talk about being a child of God, if we talk about being a point of consciousness within the infinite soul, within the infinite being, that's what it's saying. We, through our thought, use the very power that is the law, and we create our form. So if we want a different experience, we want different form, we have to change the mental makeup of what's going on in our mind. And we cannot listen to anyone else around us tell us what's right or wrong, because when we listen to other people around us, we take their thoughts, put it into our mind, and we're going to get a haphazard creation. We're not going to get what we want. What God knows is, I love that. Think about that. What God knows is. What I know is. What I don't know is not. If you don't have $1 million, then you know what it's like to have $1 million. Is that not true? It's real simple. But if you know how to have $10, you know what $10 is like. So the way to get to a goal is to take gradual steps in the process called Kaizen. The Japanese use this. This is what Toyota does. Toyota has this process in all of its factories called Kaizen, and what it means is one little improvement built upon the other, and then over the course of the year, it's excremental how big it is. So we have to start doing that. We don't go from $10 to $1 million. We go from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. And then we build our consciousness, and when we build our consciousness, we start to attract even more, especially if we're in gratitude for it. The story of creation simplified. God is not only pure spirit or intelligence, it's also perfect and immutable law. So you can't separate spirit from the law. The law that creates, the creative power. You can't separate it. They are the same thing. But the human mind doesn't understand that. So what we do is we give the human mind something it can grasp. So I'm giving you intellectual concepts that you can grasp. But you cannot separate spirit and law. God creates through the power of its word. God basically thinks, it's done. The law immediately responds. The word is the mold, which acting through the law produces form. So your words create a mold, and when I say your words, it's your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your feeling, the sum total of what you are. It creates a mold, and that mold is brought into form by the law. So whatever you're seeking to have that's different in your life, you want to create the perfect mold. And if you're not getting what you want, it means you've got to work on the mold. You've got to create a different mold. Now, you got to do this only for yourself, because it doesn't work. I can't change my wife's mold. Do you hear that? I tried to apply the law there for, Gene, 35 years of our 45 years of marriage, and I want you to know it did not work, because the law is going to give her mold. Do you hear that? So it's like in a relationship. If you want to change a relationship, the only mold you can change is your mold. No one else's. Now, when you change your mold, rest assured that the law of attraction is working. And when you change your mold will attract molds vibrating at the same level. And it will release molds that are vibrating at a different level. So people move in and people move out. And realize that in life, you have to release something to get something more. Does that make sense? Because God is infinite and eternal, the process of creation is eternal. So this process of creation that we're going through now, it doesn't stop. It will be going on for eternity in us as points of consciousness. One of the things that I love that Ernest Holmes said in the We Believe statements, we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. So your individual soul, whether it's in this human body or what other form, will always be expanding into a greater awareness of what it is. And in that greater awareness, you will be creating more life experience. Now, I don't know what it means to go beyond this body. I really don't care. Because to worry about what I don't know is absolutely silly. But I can take where I'm at right now and create the greatest life I can imagine for myself. And so can you. So the thought creates, the ultimate cause back of all things must be one, since life cannot be divided against itself. Do you get that? There can only be one law. If there were two laws, then the laws would conflict and it would self-destruct. So there's not an individual law that you have. There's only the one infinite law, and you're thinking into that infinite law, and that infinite law is responding to you. So we're all using the exact same power. Whatever change takes place must take place within the one. So it always goes back that the change takes place in the one. Whatever we're changing into, it takes place into the one. But this one, get this is really deep, but this one must remain changeless. For being the one and only, it could not change into anything but itself. So if you take this in quantum physics says that every possibility exists everywhere, all at the same time, and what you focus on, you collapse into experience. If you haven't seen what movie, What the Bleep Do We Know, get the movie What the Bleep Do We Know. There's a really good scene in there where they're talking about a basketball being all over the place, and you focus on the basketball there, and that's the basketball that's in your life. And so everything is available all over, all at the same time. It's all there, but where we put our focus is what we get to experience. So every possibility of life that you can imagine is right here it's like a pinhead right here in front of us. And where we put our focus in that pinhead determines our experience. God did not make God. This is the big thing. This is the premise of what we know. There had to be something at the beginning. This is our leap of faith. In religious science, this is our leap of faith, understanding there was something at the beginning and it is infinite. That's the only leap of faith we make in what we teach. Everything else you can follow as a logical progression from that one leap of faith. We don't have to believe in another human being that did this, and we can follow that. We don't have to believe in all these other deities. We just know that there's one and it is infinite. We know that God did not make the law, that the law is co-eternal with God. In other words, the law and God are the same thing. God did not make substance. This is also coexistent and co-eternal with God. Everything had to be within it, and it is my name for God with a capital I. But God did not. But God did make, does make, and is making, and will continue to make from here to eternity forms. So what God is, got all this form. That's it. And it's constantly shaping it, shifting it, reshaping it, reshifting it, and it's doing it through us in part because there's a whole other universe beyond our individual lives that is being created, but we're creating right now through our thoughts. Forms may come and go, but creation goes on. Today is the 7th anniversary of my mother passing. And I dreamt about that last night. I dreamt about that with my brother who's passed. I dreamt about it with my uncle who's passed. My father who is passing was in that dream. And I thought back to the moment when I was there, the last time I saw my mother, about 10 minutes before she died, and I was stroking her head. And I said, how's my life going to go on without this woman? This was the person who I was closest to from the moment I was birthed. We didn't always have a great relationship, but our relationship grew into one of pure love. And 7 years back, I looked back and I said, creation continues. It doesn't stop for anything, whether it's the loss of a parent, the loss of a loved one, a loss of a child, whether it's the loss of a pet, whether it's the loss of a job, whether it's the loss of a relationship, whether it's the loss of money. Creation continues. The key thing is to understand that you have the power to direct where that creation is going. You can sit and grieve for years and years and years and constantly create a state of grief. Or you can grieve, acknowledge that there was a loss, and now channel that energy and realize that that soul that is left created their perfect life. Now it's up to you to create your perfect life. That's the gift that I remember my mother telling me. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. When I go on, you just live your life, Lee. You do not need me anymore. And that so hurt. But it was so true. Sometimes the truth hurts because our ego is attached to physical form and physical experience. So again, I would say to you, go within and know that I am. And whatever you put after the I am, you will become. Let's pray.
I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.